I remember that Tony went to him and said, listen, but if you need some protection here, and if you're in trouble with some girls who are prostitutes, and maybe you don't know that they are prostitutes, and you get involved with them, and the pimps find it out, that you can have a lot of trouble. Talk to Horst about it, he takes care about you. And then it came that I was more or less there, like bodyguard, more or less.
I mean, no one talked in those days about post-traumatic stress disorder, but that's undoubtedly what John was suffering if we would put a label on it today. And in Hamburg, he could behave in an extreme way and get away with it, including being completely drunk and wired on speed and picking up a pair of scissors and stabbing things in the room and cutting up clothes. And I think it's George Harrison who told that story of they're all in their bunks going, shit, I hope he doesn't stab me.
The managing director of EMI Records, Len Wood, was going to give the Beatles to one of his A&R men. He had three. There was, four. Wally Ridley, Norman Newell, Norrie Paramore or George Martin. And because George had irritated him,
he pushed
for
it onto
several
him.
reasons, which I explain, he said, I'll give them to George. And that is why they ended up with George Martin.
Sent the telegram to the boys to tell them
just secured a recording contract. I think you said need new songs.
Yes.
Which they misinterpreted. Is that right?
Yeah. What did I'm trying to remember what the telegram said now. Please rehearse new material, I think is what it said.
New material, right?
Yeah. And in Hamburg, perhaps it just fed the way they were thinking anyway. John and Paul took that as a sign to actually resume songwriting.
Right.
They had actually both recently written in spring '62 a song each. Paul did one called Pinwheel Twist, which we've never heard, which was a Twist record, obviously. And John did Ask Me Why, which eventually came out. But they took it as a sign to, come up with something new. And they didn't want to, when they recorded, they didn't want to do anybody else's songs. The shift was here, we will do our own.
And one particular night, we'd all had a pretty good session. And it was a Sunday morning. And lo and behold, tucked away in the middle of the Große Freiheit is a little church. I think it's St. Joseph's Church. Seems quite funny being there, with all this mayhem and strip joints and bars. But it's tucked away. Nice little courtyard. And this particular morning, there were some nuns going to church. And I bet John that he wouldn't pee over the balcony onto the nuns. John said, okay. Nuns were walking past. Out comes the pecker. The nuns wondered what was going on. There was howls of laughter from upstairs. We thought it was absolutely hilarious. What we didn't realise was that, the church congregation had gone and reported us to Horst Fascher, and he had the devil's own job to try and keep us in Germany again. We were that far from being kicked out of Germany again.
We had an incident like that in Hamburg where he thought his girlfriend was cheating on him. So he asked us to go back to the hotel with him. And he's knocking on the door. Yeah, Margie, we're going, you're going to have to talk a bit louder, Gene, because he's got this little voice, He's knocking on the door. He's going, Margie, you in there? He said, knock louder, knock louder. He goes, Margie? He says, she's in there, She's in there with a man. Well, then she finally comes to the door. She's got a rollers in. She's not in there with anyone. He's just making it up. And he comes in, he's filming, he's talking, he's telling
paranoia.
Early paranoia. He goes to his little bedside table, he pulls out a pistol. Yeah. We're going, see you, Gene.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Never leave home without one.
Love your music.